This is Fight Boat, a floating vessel of vice and of violence, where only the most depraved warriors face off in combat. To win, it takes strength, sacrifice, and a complete disregard for personal safety. This is Fight Boat, the home of the global MEGAFist 12. A grueling tournament like no other. Fighters compete to earn points, where it's not just win, but how fast you win. "12 will enter, 1 will prevail, no one will get paid." It's the global MEGAFist 12. Hello and welcome. We are here on board Fight Boat. This is the global MEGAFist 12. It is episode 3. The lightweights take the stage for the first time this calendar year. It is glorious. It is wonderful. We are somewhere floating on a large body of water, presumably an ocean. Which one? I don't know. My name is Derek Osceola. I'm joined by Lucille Crammelcorn. And, of course, Michael Oleander is out and about. He's, of course, on the deck somewhere here on the massive, just grotesquely large vessel known as Fight Boat. He's the events coordinator, he's the program director, runs the water aerobics class as well. But Lucille is here next to me. I am Derek Osceola, Lucille Crammelcorn. We have got a great night of fights today. It's going to be a great one.
Oh, absolutely, Derek. I wish Michael could join us. He's on one of the many decks of Fight Boat. Not sure where he is. I'm sure he's leading people on a great time. The lightweights are going to have a great night of fights for us tonight. They always bring the action in this caged octagonal-like structure, and I am ready to dive into this lightweight card.
Well, no doubt we have a great lineup in our lightweight division. 155 pounds is the limit, and these are the groups. The Group A is an interesting collection of some relatively new names. We have 2 names that have qualified via the Hyperfist tournament. In fact, they qualified, I believe they qualified, no, one of them is qualified directly. The other has qualified via the survival fight. Plus, we have 2 fighters in Group A who are brand new to last year's Global MEGAFist 12 in Walter Birch and Deputy Snooter Magnum. They are joined by Miroslav Florislava and Trevor Sereno. It's a real grab bag in Group A. It could just be anyone's group.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Sereno and Florislava, they've got the experience. Walter Birch, he had a great run last year. Groom and Murkov, they're the new blood. They're going to shake things up. We saw last year the new additions that came through the Hyperfist made immediate and big impacts, and I have high expectations for both Preston Groom and Harvey Murkov in Group A's lightweight division.
Yes, they made their way through the Hyperfist tournament. Groom on his second attempt. Murkov as a debutant. Birch, again, a semifinalist from last year. These are the matches we're going to see, and immediately it's going to be some newcomers. Deputy Snooter Magnum taking on the newcomer Preston Groom, the animal handler of sorts. He embellishes a bit, but he is some sort of an animal handler, I guess. But that is going to be one of our matches. Miroslav Florislava, a staple to the Global MEGAFist 12, faces Harvey Murkov, our panic room consultant, with a large interest in keeping keeping customers well stocked with salt, and perhaps that may have some links to last year's debacle that we don't like to think about. But Miroslav Florislava, a very, very tough first opponent for Murkoff, and of course Walter the Yardstick Birch, our disciplinarian, our child disciplinarian, takes on the school guidance counselor with the strangely questionable past of Trevor Sereno. That is our set of matches for Group A. Meanwhile, we look over at Group B, and Lucille, it is a bunch of top-notch names. Yes, there are newcomers: Aldi Albertson, Chip Crocker. Look at those other four: J.C. Switcher, Charlie Valentine, Zeke Apnea, Rob Lynn. There is at least one semifinal on four of those names. I believe Apnea did make the semifinal. I believe he was a semifinalist last year, if I recall. If not, he came very close, but at the very least three in Switcher and Valentine and Lynn. In fact, the two-time champion is J.C. Switcher, and he is right there at the top.
Yeah, I mean, Switcher obviously has the target on his fashionable back, the living mannequin of the lightweight division of the Global MEGAFist 12. You know, he is the one to beat. He is the one everyone's going to put their best effort in against. You know, Charlie Valentine, you know, he's the matchmaker. I guess you could say he's somewhat the bride, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's come close. He's never quite gotten the championship that he so desires. Lynn, Apnea, I mean, they're tremendous. Albertson and Crocker, I look forward to see what they can do against, established competition.
And once again, it's a second-year Hyperfist competitor making his way through. He is the one who made it directly through, won all three fights in a row. Chip Crocker. Actually, I take it back. Chip Crocker. These are the two that have actually won their way through. That's just kind of how the draw played out. And the matches in that one, J.C. Switcher. Well, for the newcomer Chip Crocker, he did win his 3 fights straight. But that's a different level of opponent when you have to take on J.C. Switcher. Should be a great fight, an excellent challenge for the newcomer who spends his times hanging out outside of your department stores on benches, feeding the. You know what? We'll get into that later, but he is in a tough challenge. Aldi Albertson, who had a great Hyperfist last year, takes on Charlie Valentine as well. And that, of course, puts, two stalwarts to the lightweight the Global MEGAFist 12. Zeke Apnea taking on the Goblin, Rob Lynn. Those are our matchups tonight in the lightweight division. As always, we have rules here in Global MEGAFist 12. We might be on Fight Boat, but there are still rules to this competition. Each of our fights are 3 rounds of 150 seconds each. That's 2.5 minutes, counting down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It's an amateur MMA, so 2.5-minute rounds. A 10-point must scoring system is in effect, with the judges scoring the fight based on aggression, damage, and Fight Boat control. And most importantly, this has kind of become our spot for our PSAs. Sign-ups for spring season of fantasy football is next week, so please reserve your table at the Hollow Stadium for the draft. I did not know we had hologram technology until I received that note, but here we are. Fight Boat just very much has everything. And yeah, we are very much excited for the very first fight coming up, which is going to be J.C. Switcher taking on Chip Crocker. It's going to be a great one. It is happening right now. state for this, our first fight of the evening. JC Switcher tends to have the height and reach advantage. He's got it by 2 inches respectively in each set. Against Chip Crocker, we asked all the fighters their favorite amenity on Fight Boat. For Chip Crocker, the wake-up call, which of course makes sense. He's got to get those early warnings, find good bench spots that he's used to. For JC Switcher, plenty of deck chairs, so I guess he just likes the fact that he can sit down.
Let's fight!
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, there's plenty of great bench spots for Crocker. There's plenty of deck chairs for Switcher and for everyone really, but I guess it's the little things. Both men, of course, we saw Switcher a lot more frequently, just calling all the fights on the Axpaddle. Of course, Crocker was in the Hyperfist, also on the Axpaddle, but just being off that nightmare hellscape, the little things easily can be impressive.
No doubt about that. 100% agree with you. And we are seeing that it's for many it could be a new lease on life, at least for their fighting career as far as that goes.
Yeah, like my first breakfast, I wept because they had jellies that were other than grape. Like they had strawberry, they had peach, they had raspberry. I was so used to just grape jellies at breakfast on the Axpaddle. It shattered my soul to get strawberry jelly. I'll be honest.
That's fair. And I tend to enjoy grape jelly as well. And I gotta tell you, I was in the same place. I did not want to have it for a while. It took me a while before I finally just was able to see it without wincing. And once you get to that point as well, try it. It's fantastic. It's outstanding. It's amazing. But of course, what we would expect here on Fight Boat, an opulent, just ship of dreams, and on board, of course, the Global MEGAFist 12, one of many competitive examples of combat sports here on board.
Get the stoppage!
Absolutely, and Crocker really digging for these submissions. He had a Kimura attempt early. Oh my!
He gets it! Whoa, my goodness!
That is JC Switcher's 4th ever loss. Like, that is ridiculous.
By the rookie Chip Crocker. 6 massive points going to Crocker.
It is ridiculous. Switcher had no answer for Crocker's ground game.
And he just had to tap wow. Oh my goodness. Well, that is absolutely shocking.
He has more points of articulation than a regular mannequin, but even his arms can't bend that far.
Yeah, that's good. Very, very accurate. And that's wow. That is absolutely shocking. What a victory for Chip Crocker. Perhaps the toughest battle under his belt, and he comes away with the max amount of points. What a wow! I don't even have the words for that. But of course, we neglected to give you our intro explainer video. We'll get that in the middle portion of this. But coming up next, let's just get right to it. Deputy Snooter Magnum, Preston Groom. Can the other newcomer make as much of a splash? Preston Groom, our bomb-sniffing man, taking on our animal handler of sorts. And the region winner goes to Magnum. Of course, their favorite amenity for Groom. It's the petting zoo, as you would expect. For Magnum, in fact, there are no crates.
You ready?
I don't know if I want to unpack
Let's
that.
fight!
It's probably best not to.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
That's it. Make it work.
Yeah.
Make it work.
That's just gonna leave that one there. Anyway, in the traditional animal handling khaki colors is Groom. Magnum in what he has called cop shorts.
Nice, nice.
Which I guess is the similar sort of thing we've seen Duff Magnuson wearing. Cop shorts.
Of course, he's one of the few members of the K9 unit to be clothed at all, being a human and not a dog. So I'm sure those were specially made for him. And I think most cops tend to wear long pants. I don't know of too many.
Agreed.
I think this is the first time I ever heard the phrase "cop shorts" in my life.
I'm gonna have to. I'm checking my notes. I just noticed that I feel like that was. I circled that as well as something that kind of struck me as a bit strange, but cop shorts indeed. And he got taken down. He was allowed back up by Groom, but Groom is just. Now Magnum is a fighter we've seen do well on the ground and in the submission game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he just, if I recall, he was just missing out on the playoffs last year. He had a fantastic performance in his first season in the Global MEGAFist 12. He's against a fellow newcomer in Preston Groom.
Watch for him to grab your leg. There it is.
Been a bit of a ground struggle back and forth so far with 37 seconds to go.
Breathe and move right now. Breathe and
Yeah,
move.
very evenly matched. It's interesting. Deputy Snooter Magnum has definitely got more experience in the Global MEGAFist 12 proper. But so much of that gets thrown out the window being here on Fight Mode. I mean, the environment is so drastically different. It's hard to take past seasons into account when just everyone's world has improved for the better, and just again we talk about all the time all the distractions available to these fighters. How much time are they putting in the numerous gyms they have available?
They're able to train like professional fighters, except of course not getting paid to keep their amateur status. As of course that is the main reason that the MEGAFist 12 is as much of a rising success as it is. But they're basically able to train like professionals as amateurs. But yeah, it could be one thing versus the other. I know Magnum for one has mentioned that when Fight Boat is really moving during the day on a beautiful day, how much he loves to sort of go up to the railing and stick his head out and just let the breeze kind of move his jowls back. He just kind of opens his mouth and lets the breeze just sort of enter his mouth, and it moves his jowls and everything. And yeah, it's really having the time of his life up here.
Let's fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should let him know that there is a wind tunnel a couple of decks below. He might, get too enamored of that and just kind of spend way too much time in the wind tunnel just cranking up the speed, which, I went down there and was standing in some pretty strong winds, and I kind of got my fill. It's interesting just that they have it.
I was kind of wondering why that's even down there, but again, best not to ask sometimes. But I don't understand. I guess if ever they wanted to film something with some sort of wind effect, you could easily.
Yeah. Or test the aerodynamics of.
I guess.
Who knows what?
For science, of course. Yeah.
Science, new vehicles. The great and honorable, and glorious Mr. Naga is perhaps, requesting to be designed, and wow, big ground and pound.
You just designed a new vehicle, and yet here we have it. Preston Groom. Well, for the newcomers, it's 2-0. A vicious TKO victory. Magnum does not seem to be understanding, or he might have just heard. He might have just heard. He thought he heard the referee say the word "out" and was just excited that we were going out. But he might have just been out, I think is what happened. But yeah, kind of covering up, just taking that punishment. Not much defending going on.
No, just kind of waiting for it to stop. Probably wondering how we got into such a predicament in the first place. But
I find myself wondering that on just a grander scale. But yeah, I understand what you're getting at. 5
Big
points go to
impressive
Preston.
win.
Yeah, another big win for a newcomer. Here's the goal leg of this 12. Preston Groom shows that he could handle, well, a man who acts in the way an animal would. Not necessarily the same way, but, you know, close enough. But that is 2 fights in the books already. And coming up in just a moment, well, Miroslav Florislava taking on another newcomer to the lightweight division. It's Harvey Murkoff. That fight happening right now. The tail of the tape for this, our third fight. Slava Murkov. Both have very interesting, well, their statistics are virtually exactly the same. The favorite amenity confused me both. Lots of fire exits were on a boat, but Miroslav Florislava always concerned with fire safety. For Harvey Murkoff, he liked the immense resource stockpile. He is a panic room consultant. So I guess that is par for the course. He would expect, he would want that sort of like, that would be something he would notice. I'm not sure.
The sort of prepper lifestyle.
Yeah.
Stay prepped so you don't have to get prepped or something to that effect.
Sure.
Yeah, he's one of the newcomers that I haven't had a great chance to speak with, so you know, I'm just kind of taking what I can from these responses, these questionnaire responses, and just learning less somehow.
It's a strange. I mean, I guess par for the course when we're having strange characters and personalities joining the Global MEGAFist 12, but that kind of adds extra paint and extra color to the flavor, to the buffet and or art piece, the edible artwork that is the Global MEGAFist 12, which, sorry, I was just thinking about the edible artwork from last night's dinner, and yeah, we're already halfway through, and they are really just...
nice.
They are really just coming out swinging. That was the first real takedown. It was almost more just from a trip up on a caught kick by thrown by Florislava. Murkoff finally working the ground game with a minute to go.
Beautiful.
But Florislava has been, well, he kind of stepped off a little bit last year, but in 2019, he was just a dominant force in the lightweight division. And he got almost as far as he could.
Absolutely, Derek. He was a devastating opponent inside that cage octagonal-like structure. He was a bit of a dangerous opponent for all of us seated around the outside of the cage octagonal-like structure with his shorts constructed of asbestos. Last year with distancing protocols, that was less of a factor for us, and now we have much better air filtration systems.
That was just at the bell.
Yeah, seconds to go in the round, but Murtaugh puts the stamp on this one.
Wow, he
big
certainly
ground and
does.
pound finish.
Another big victory, and not just that, but a victory for another first-timer here in the Global MEGAFist 12. The newcomers are 3-0 tonight. They have come to add some very just stiff competition. Wow. Just barely getting out of the round, or just barely finishing it before getting out of the round. And yeah, I guess the referee didn't like something in Florislava's defense, and wow, what a finish.
Another impressive showing from a newcomer to the Global MEGAFist 12. I mean, is that 3 in a row of the Hyperfist call-ups?
It is 3-0.
Wow.
Newcomers are 3-0 so far tonight. Potentially 4-0. It's going to be coming up in just a few. However, we have a couple more fights coming up in just a moment. Our next fight is Aldi Albertson, so we can see if it does go 4-0 or if that gets squashed by Charlie Valentine, coming off of an ever so close performance from winning in win in last year's tournament. He was a finalist, and that was ultimately it. Aldi Albertson, his second attempt through, he has made it into the big show. However, first we're going to have our Hyperfist update in just a moment. But first we didn't have to play it earlier, but if you are new to the Global MEGAFist 12 and you understand what we're talking about with points and whatnot, here is the explainer for you.
The Global MEGAFist 12 is a grueling competition like nothing ever seen before in mixed martial arts. First, the 12 fighters are drawn at random into 2 groups of 6 fighters each. Each fighter will face off against the other 5 in their group. A win is worth 3 points, while a draw is worth 1. In addition, bonus points are awarded for how fast a fight is won. Winning in the 3rd round is worth 4 total points, a 2nd round win is worth 5, and finishing a fight in the 1st round gets you 6 points in all. After all 5 rounds of competition, the 2 fighters who finish in last place are relegated from Global MEGAFist 12 and must earn their way back in next season. They will be replaced by 2 fighters from the Hyperfist qualifying tournament. The 2 5th-place fighters will be matched up against 2 more fighters from the Hyperfist qualifiers, with the winners earning their spot in next season's Global MEGAFist 12. The top 2 fighters from each group advance to the semifinals, where the 1st-place fighter from each group will take on the 2nd-place fighter from the other. The winners of these fights will do battle for the championship. It all comes down to one thing: win, and win fast. And the title of Global MEGAFist 12 champion awaits.
Well, we seem to be having some technical difficulties with our HyperFist stream, so we are going to, we apologize for that. We are going to head back to here in the studio. Lucille and myself are here. We are still here with us again. There was some issue with the video and the production. For some reason, there was no video on the HyperFist preview for the lightweight division, but of course you can go to our website and check out the first round matchups, and those will begin in the next series of fights. So starting with episodes 4, 5, and 6, the respective weight classes will begin their HyperFist journey. That being said, we have Aldi Albertson versus Charlie Valentine coming up right now, and that is going to be a huge fight. That is coming at you right now. Go with the fourth fight of the evening. Valentine Albertson. Valentine, we know about him. He is our Oklahoma Cupid, the matchmaker extraordinaire. Aldi Albertson. He is a rogue grocery store.
Are you ready?
Owner. He's sort of just. He sells groceries out of his basement. Obviously, he can't do that here while on Fight Boat, but he seems to just take pride in that. But here we go. We'll see how he can fight. He did, in fact, if I recall, he won all 3 of his fights last year in the HyperFist. That brought him to this point. He did not have to go through a survival fight, as did Groom and Murkoff. But he is standing right up to Valentine immediately. I know Albertson has had a couple of submission victories last year, but I'm not sure that's going to be the course of action against a man we've seen so strong on the ground in Charlie Valentine.
Oh, absolutely. Valentine is a pretty impressive grappler, especially for amateurs. Good striking exchange from both men. I mean, just really, planting their feet, throwing some big hooks. This is gonna. I am really looking forward. I was really looking forward to this fight when I saw that it was coming up tonight.
Yeah,
I
no
think
doubt
these
about
guys
it.
are going to be outstanding. It's a shame one of them has to lose tonight because I think both these guys have a pretty big 2021 in store for them.
Well, that's going to be interesting is that you see, when you have this tough fight right off the bat, yeah, it does kind of put you in a bit of a hole, but it gets you either that boost of confidence right off the start of taking out a strong opponent, as we see Albertson being the first one to go for a submission. That's a bold move, but, just like with his rogue grocery store enterprise, no one's gonna. He's not gonna listen to anyone who tells him to not go for something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I did get a chance to you know, speak with Aldi Albertson a little bit. You know, he said, you know, sometimes he was getting the I guess the knockoff stuff. Sometimes he was making his own groceries. He said he had a lot of people that really liked his wheat thick crackers.
I'm sorry, you said he was making his own groceries.
Yeah, he would bake crackers, and he called them wheat thicks. And apparently, he had some loyal customers who loved the wheat thicks.
I see. That's one of the. I've never thought that those two words together would be so mildly disturbing, and yet here we are. Well, how about that?
I mean, I assumed, you know, a thick piece of wheat is just a slice of bread.
Yeah,
but apparently
exactly. And I mean, I don't really. If I'm going for Texas toast, I'm not really going for a wheat version of it. But yeah, okay, sure.
You score with that take.
But yeah, he.
I need you to circle left and stay
Again, it's one of those instances where you have a conversation with one of these fighters. You come away a little more confused than when you started, and you think to yourself, well, there's a mistake I probably shouldn't make anytime soon. Talking to this
100%. I would, for one, I would agree with that, and also you just immediately think, well, this is par for the course. You kind of expect it to be what happens here in the Global MEGAFist 12. Nonetheless, he's putting a good effort. Maybe there's something to these weirdos, and that makes them good fighters. That's a study I'm not sure I want to explore, but nonetheless, he's had a great first round against Charlie Valentine. I'd almost so far as to say that he won that first round.
Yeah, it was a very close round. He did come close with some of those submissions. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that a judge could mark Aldi Albertson's name on the scorecard for round one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that one. And what we're seeing, he's again, if nothing else, he's being the more aggressive of the two. He is going for the armbar. He's the second attempt at a submission for the evening.
He's just got to break that grip, but
yeah,
Valentine.
he does able.
There it is.
The other grip was what was broken in that case, and he goes right back for it. He's going for the hard sell, I suppose, as it were, in that he is going for an arm triangle. He's just going submission after submission. He's not relenting. It's like he's pushing a free sample. Like my understanding is, I've actually, the fight boat is so massive that it is very possible that the next time I see one of these fighters in person is the next time they are fighting. It's very easy to get lost or, have trouble finding someone without actively making plans to do so. But Aldi Albertson, I understand, I did actually run into, or at least heard about him hanging around, giving out free samples of one of his many rogue groceries, I guess is the best way to say it. It's such a strange, it doesn't sound right when I say it, and yet here we are.
I heard someone saying that, did you go over to the third deck? There's a guy giving out hamch, which apparently is ham and ranch combined.
Hamch?
Hamch. I did not get any hamch that day.
I'm not sure I will. I'm not sure I want hamch. Call me boring. Call me not excited to try something new. But I am.
Give me a clean break.
I just don't have words.
On the one hand, you only live once, but on the other hand, I think if you try hamch, that once doesn't last long.
Good. Okay.
If you get my meaning.
That's very disturbing and fair. But we are at the third. Well, we are going to be entering the third round of this fourth fight of the night in the lightweight Global MEGAFist 12. What a contest has been, back and forth. I don't feel like we'd be out of the realm to say that the advantage and the aggression has gone to Aldi Albertson throughout this fight.
Yeah, strong agree. Valentine had a submission attempt of his own at the very end of the second, but the second was, again, mostly dominated with Albertson looking for various submissions. The only worry is he might have gassed his arms out, going from arm bars to arm triangle to, all these holds and not securing anyone, and just, his arms getting a little heavy and a little tired.
Yeah, we don't know what this has done to the stamina of Aldi Albertson. He seems to be they're standing up at the moment. There was a brief takedown attempt, but they're both back up again, and he knocks down Valentine and goes right back into it. So I will say that Albertson is showing no fear and no regard for what is a very known commodity, and that is, of course, the ground game of Charlie Valentine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all these hyperfist guys are really putting everyone on notice, and
Sure
Albertson
are,
has taken that mantle up here in this fight, beautifully, just doing everything he can to put Charlie Valentine away. But it's a testament to Valentine's toughness that, this fight is still going on, because this has been one heck of a performance from Aldi Albertson so far.
Valentine has been he's been on the wrong end of a decision more than once, and on a high level of a high level and a high stakes sort of situation. This wouldn't be nearly the level of high stakes, but you can't help but think that this is going to get in the head of Valentine. That just he sort of just doesn't have it in him to. He's going to either get the win quickly, or on a decision sort of situation, he's just going to ultimately falter. And that's not if there is a weak point or a con to backing the horse of Charlie Valentine, that might be it.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of interesting, I suppose, that Valentine in his professional life, tries to avoid heartache and heartbreak when it seems like when it comes to the judges here at Global MEGAFist 12, that's about all he gets. Just crushing losses, at the worst possible times too. But as you were saying at the beginning of this fight, a tough loss here is not going to torpedo anyone's 2021 season.
No, you very much, that's a huge thing. You can't, they say a lot of competitions, where you can't win it on the first day, but you sure can lose it. Neither is the case. There are so many, every fighter in the Global MEGAFist 12 has the same 5 opportunities as everyone they are facing. You absolutely, as we're going to see, 3 points are going to be on the line for the winner. So even more so, just going to a decision, while it's still, the loser will get 0 points. By going to a decision, they will have, in fact, denied their opponent more points by not being finished. It actually could matter in the end. We've seen fighters have better records, but because of their points total, not made the next round.
Absolutely, Derek.
Yeah, it almost feels like a foregone conclusion. We've been talking about Albertson possibly taking the first 2 rounds. I see no real change in that third one, that if it actually goes in his direction, it does. The decision victory and 3 points goes to Aldi Albertson. I don't want to say a comprehensive victory, but he did everything right in that fight. And it definitely made it there was less of a debate, I think, in who won that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. The first round was somewhat close, and then I think Albertson kind of started to turn the tide as round 2 picked up, and round 3, it was pretty much Albertson, I don't want to say running away with it, but at least definitively it was his by the end of the fight.
Yeah, pretty easy decision for the judges to make. Coming up next, our co-main event, Walter Birch and Trevor Serrano. we have the tail of the tape for this one. Both of our fighters slightly on the shorter side, but just the slightest height advantage to one height advantage to Walter Birch. Their favorite amenity. Trevor Sereno says that it's far from enemy turf. I don't know what that could possibly mean, nor do I want to explore that. Anyway, for the clear school guidance counselor, with a past that he doesn't like to talk about.
Let's go, guys.
For Walter
Fight.
Birch, he does say all the kids are behaved. I have not seen a single child in this boom. So I don't know if that's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek comment, or if there are children, or any insight on that? Because I certainly don't have any.
I mean, I haven't had a chance to check in with Sereno or Birch. I assume they might have been doing some sort of video conference distance learning, you know, in their roles as, I guess, people in the educational field. You know, so I kind of assumed Sereno was talking about, you know, he's away from the, I guess, rival high school that he guidance counsel at.
Yeah.
But yeah, the children comment is a little weird from Birch. But you know, you take what you can get with some of these guys.
And Walter Birch, the thing for him is he's a disciplinarian, and we saw him come on strong last year. He did end up faltering in a, I believe it was.
Control the clinch. 3 outside.
Was it a fight? Was it? No, it was Charlie Valentine who ultimately, I believe, defeated him in the semifinals. But he had a great first year in the Global MEGAFist 12 after coming through the Hyperfist, and we have to wonder if that means that he basically had a lot of energy pent up from not having to physically discipline other people's children while on the Yats paddle, and it's the same situation. Could that end up could that be a benefit?
Get him backing up and make him pay.
I mean, yeah, it's very possible. You know, just again, change in scenery, a switch up of the normal, you know, everyday routine can have big impacts, and sometimes it's for the better. We've seen fighters, you know, come to the confines of Fight Boat and have just blossomed, as it were, and have become changed men in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, Fight Boat does change a person. I think every person who has set foot on Fight Boat can be set. And wow, yeah, it was a giant shot. And Birch is going for the finish, but he might be a little too late on the clock in round one. That is in fact the case. Good defense by Sereno. Sereno, a finalist in the 2019 tournament. That was the very first one. So he's an underdog sort of role.
So after you throw a couple punches,
you know, he kind of came in with a 3-2 record that year.
You can't stop
pulled
in
off
one
a
place.
huge semifinal
He's running
upset,
backwards. So you're
and
gonna have to keep
gave
jabbing
JC
in.
Switcher,
You're gonna have to
the
throw your
division
right
champion,
short
both years that we've done this. A good fight, but unfortunately fell short. And yeah, he's not really seen that level of success since, but he's always been in contention. Although I think that time he's most certainly on the losing end of that round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he got dropped. It was very close to being finished as the clock was ticking down, but you know, time and Sereno's durability kind of saved him.
Let's go, guys, fight.
Kind of a twofold.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I would agree 100% there.
Throw your low kick. Back him up.
We're gonna see how this second round plays out. Yeah, big shots again.
Keep angling, keep
Both of them are
angling.
just really just throwing great strikes.
Absolutely. You know, Birch, you know, he's done well for himself in the past with ground and pound, you know, his grappling, but he is heavy-handed anywhere the fight takes place. That is something to always look out for. You know, the 155ers here, they're the smallest Global MEGAFist 12 fighters, but they can definitely put people away with single shots. I mean, there's plenty of power.
And again, you know, it's one of those things you can't train. No matter how much you train, you cannot train your jaw or your chin. That is not something you can't train yourself to be able to take a punch better. So again, lighter fighters, that's a little less padding, that's a little less muscle and oomph to withstand a powerful strike from someone like a disciplinarian
Throw that right.
like Walter the Yardstick Birch. We're about halfway through this fight, 75 seconds to go in the second round of our co-main event, our second to last fight. And Sereno is putting a good showing for himself. Look at that spinning back kick. Strong in the clinch as well as we get to a minute to go. He tends to keep going for it. He's got some good knees, some good clinch strike, good close-up fighting. Birch seems a bit on the I don't want to say confused, but it's a unique style that. Oh my goodness! Well, sometimes you just do that, I guess.
All right, stop.
Wow.
Fight's over. Fight's over, guys.
Oh my God! Why did the ref not stop that sooner? That was unnecessary.
Well, perhaps the referee doesn't have his
shots-
sea legs. I don't. Oh my God, that was a violent, a vicious knockout. Well, when Walter Birch is finding an opponent difficult, you know, he just sort of like, and as you can see, he just sort of almost just charged in and fired that. He covered the distance so well, fires that hook, and just from a technical standpoint, that was just superb.
Yeah.
It took a while for Sereno to actually react to it, and he was just already out the minute it landed. What a vicious, that is Walter Birch in a nutshell. We have seen that all through last year.
That was scary. I mean, luckily Sereno will have a couple of weeks to clear his head, you know, get all sorts of top of the line treatments here on Fight Boat.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, any kind of facial, you know, cuts, abrasions. We have top of the line cosmetic surgeons to kind of patch that up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he'll have plenty of time
And even
to...
if you're the kind that's into that weird alternative medicine, they've got that if you really insist upon it. No one's gonna judge.
They'll put those big weird vacuum cups on your body.
Our main event is this one, as we were a bit distracted by the weird art of huffing. Zeke Apnea loves the fact that he can get some sleep here. He loves being able to sleep. Not that that's an amenity that Fightboat offers, but I guess he's able to.
Soft mattresses, I guess, soundproof cabin.
Whereas for Rob Lynn, Canada's voted best pickpocket, no one locks the rooms, which fair. I do. So I don't have many possessions, and those I do have, I try to keep with me at all times.
We were not able to keep or to take much with us when we were brought aboard
nothing was really planned.
Yeah. So what we had on the Atsapadlin is basically what we have here on Fight Boat. I mean, things are provided that we request.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Things that I've had a dream about that I barely remember and asked about has been brought to me. Things that shouldn't possibly exist seem to be like 3D printed or carved. I don't know.
Yeah,
I get
I've realized. Do not even would you know? I've realized like it's not that they don't understand sarcasm. It's just that when you answer like, "Oh, can I get you anything else?" and you answer sarcastically, they bring you the thing more often than not. And I've learned that is that can have a bit of detriment to it.
I was going to ask you, Derek, what is your favorite amenity so far on Fight Boat?
Try to get a takedown.
That it's not the Atsa Paddlin, but I feel like that's a cop out of an answer. You know, I just.
Oh,
Oh
big
my goodness!
shot.
Well, just as it's happening, Rob Lynn has dropped Apnea, and he is scrambling.
Wow. I thought that was it for.
Yeah, that
for
looked very well. Rob Lynn, we were talking earlier about how a fighter can have a great record, but their points can lead them to not being well enough to make the semifinals. Rob Lynn was in that position. He was 4-1 last year, but he did not have enough points and ultimately was bested by someone who finished 3-2 in Charlie Valentine. It ended up being Valentine who went through and not Lynn. Lynn went through, of course, to the very finals, I think it was, in 2019. So he's looking to get back to that. But I will say, amenities that I enjoy.
Nice.
You know, for one, I hear just the fact that you can easily get lost here. I can, and yet still find my cabin no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like every day I am
Hey, 5 minutes of hell. Tie your
experiencing
punches
a
up. The
new,
uppercut is
a
there all
new
day, but you gotta bring
ship
something behind
almost.
it.
Like I'm walking out onto a
gotta
new
find those
ship's
punches.
deck.
Hey,
That
find these right
sort of
after.
change
Give
of
the body
pace,
some
and that's
too,
again
okay?
that's one of those simple
Hey,
things.
I want
But
fours
my
and
God,
fives
is
with
it
the
just
punches now, right?
fantastic?
We
I feel
can't hold back
like
now.
every day I
Cannot
can go and
hold
walk
back.
around and see
Ray,
something
give me a
new.
couple of defense.
I did not realize there were batting cages on here. But and I had walked past the mini golf course all the time, and so to my knowledge, that might have just been built. I don't know.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can find if you're kind of not paying attention to where if your feet just kind of walk without you paying attention.
Yeah.
You'll end up in some amazing places.
It's honestly become one of my daily things, and then I ended up just losing track of time. And thankfully, I always find my way back. That's not an issue.
Go to the body and press them
although
down.
again, you know,
Ready?
for all I know,
Ready?
they could just have been moving all my things into an identical cabin,
Let's fight.
and whatever cabin
Yeah.
I believe I go back to is in fact mine. So again, but just the ludicrous levels of amenities,
Chin down, nice and tight.
unnecessary, you may say,
Yeah.
but very much enjoyed.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there one in particular you were? Yeah, I was gonna say you.
He busted his leg.
Yeah.
Assume you have one.
I discovered a couple days ago, so fairly new, a cave and cavern system on the boat. Your lower decks,
Sure, yeah.
obviously, but yeah, full spelunking capabilities: stalactites, stalagmites, bats, fluorescent algae and frogs and things. Just you just go in, explore. It's
wow.
ridiculous.
There-
It could be a hologram. You mentioned the hollow stadium for fantasy
Oh my God!
football.
Oh my God! Well, what is not a hologram is the fighting power and the knockout power of Rob Lynn. I mean, we were just. I would have loved to have that conversation a little bit longer for the fight, but my God, Rob Lynn has power, and Zeke Apnea
That does.
has
Gosh.
sleep brought to him. Wow. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to check out the cave system. I feel like that has to be man-made because I don't know any sort of natural caves that exist on a ship. But then again, there's a lot of other things I've also assumed not to exist or not to ever have been a thing. And yet here we are. But I'm going to have to try to one day find these spelunking caverns. And you say that's below the how far below deck can you go on this ship? God.
I was on a staircase for a while, and then caverns. Like I said, it could have been a hologram. It could have been a VR simulation that was so immersive I forgot. I put some goggles on, but it felt real.
I believe you, and well, I mean, must be someone else who knows about that. But my God, well, we have had a great night of fights here on board Fight Boat. Just recapping, Group A ending up like this: Walter Birch with the second round knockout over Trevor Sereno. Miroslav Florislava, the surprise loss in the first round to Harvey Murkoff. And equally surprising, Deputy Snooter Magnum losing to another debutant in Preston Groom. Been a big night for the newcomers, Lucille.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've put everyone in the lightweight division of Global MEGAFist 12 on notice that they are here. They are dangerous. You better watch out for these Hyperfist guys. I mean, we said a lot last year, the Hyperfist guys are for real. You know, this new crop is perhaps even more for real.
There's more of them is the thing. It's not that the ones from last year are any less. It's that there are more of them now. It just shows how deep this can cut. Wow, it is truly astounding. And of course, let's take a look at what that means for the lightweight standings in Group A. Murkoff at the top with 6, Groom at 5, Birch with 5, Sereno, Magnum, and Florislava 0-1 for the moment. Again, a lot of time to write that, of course, but let's look at some of those battles. Birch versus Murkoff, Sereno versus Magnum, Florislava versus Groom. There are some very tasty battles that I think we're going to be seeing for the first time among a lot of those.
Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious, but Birch and Murkoff and Sereno and Magnum, I mean, you got first place and potentially last place at state, already in, the second crop of lightweight fights.
Yeah, someone potentially can go, someone will go 0-2, and it won't necessarily be a name that we come to expect for that.
Yeah, it looks like 0-2. We say you can't lose it all in the first week, but 0-2 with this crop of guys, that's going to be a deep hole that you're going to need a headlamp and some ropes and some guides to get you out of that cave.
Some spelunking gear, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and we head over to Group B. Aldi Albertson with the decision victory. Chip Crocker will be top with the submission victory over JC Switcher, and the Goblin Roblin winning via, I believe that was actually knockout, not TKO, in the main event. What that does to the standings is exactly what you'd expect. It is very simply put, Crocker at the top with the 6 points, Lynn with 5 in second. Aldi Albertson's decision victory got him the 3, and Valentine, Apnea, and Switcher at the bottom. Again, you don't want to make too much out of that, but you look at some of these fights. Valentine versus Apnea, same situation. Someone's going 0-2 off of that matchup. Similarly, Aldi Albertson and Chip Crocker, one of the two newcomers, will go 0-2 to start things off here in the Global MEGAFist 12. Meanwhile, and by the way, JC Switcher versus Rob Lynn. Like, do we even need to talk about that one on paper?
I mean, that, in, any other time, that could be a championship level, fight, but JC Switcher, his back is a little bit against the wall in this one. I mean, Lynn had a big knockout. He's got 5 big points. He's in second place.
Confidence.
Switcher, it's tough to beat Rob Lynn on anyone's best day. Switcher, he's got to win impressively. He's got to get points. He's got to get points quick. And Lynn, again, as you mentioned, he's had troubles, in seasons past, not getting the points necessary.
Yeah.
A decision is not going to be great. I mean, he's got 5 already. He's got to be getting stoppages if he wants to.
He needs that momentum. He needs to keep that momentum going. It's the momentum versus, again, the back against the wall. Almost makes him immovable when you can't go back any further. It's a main event anywhere. It likely will have. Just the name power alone makes that. I would have to say that had to be a main event for episode 6, which will be towards the end of May. That being said, we will be back next week with the heavyweights, their second fights of the group stage. Going down that one on Group A on your left side, Dr. Igor Tonic versus Professor Andre Carson, Lonnie Fescue versus Oliver Lehman, Marty Sweats versus Van Hart. It is possible with the right set of results that we have 3 2-1 fighters and 3 0-2 fighters out of Group A. Meanwhile, on the other side, Grant Clado versus Fritz Milgram, Guff Magnuson versus Lil 42, and Wanderin Movolt takes on handsome Jeff Perkins. So the heavyweights are proven to be an interesting crop as well, but we are starting to see a lot of the similar favorites. It's a very interesting dynamic at the end of the second round of fights in the heavyweights.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not to put too much pressure on him, and I'm sure he doesn't feel that kind of pressure. He just goes in there and does what he does. But, Oliver Lehman he's a scary guy. He is nothing against Lonnie Fescue, rather, not taking away anything from the Lon Dad, but he's got to have his defense on point to survive against Oliver Lehman, because a split second and it's a big, strong, mean punch or kick coming your way from
it's violent, and it could end up being pressure put on Lehman that it's almost like if he doesn't win it at this point, then anything not winning is a disappointment.
Points, what's even the point of trying? Almost is how it feels from him at times.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Well, he is going to be an easy favorite coming into that fight. Lonnie Fescue is dangerous, but I think anyone would be an underdog going up against the defending champion of Oliver Lehman. And of course, we look at it, we know that eventually is going to mean we're going to get number 3 of Tonic versus Lehman sometime in the group stage. It's going to be happening for a 3rd year straight. That is it for us here aboard Fight Boat. I think there might be a late dessert buffet trip for me, because why not? Might go and have something brought back to my room. Haven't decided yet. I get a bucket of hot wings delivered regularly, whether I want it or not, so maybe there'll just be one waiting for me. I don't know. Go for one of those fruit baskets that I always hear about on these cruises, but I'm never going to complain when something shows up, Lucille.
Oh, absolutely not. If he's got it available, I might bite the bullet and try some damn hamch.
If you could find, I'm fairly certain you could even go and create your own hamch at one of the buffets. I'm certain there's ham. I'm certain there is a salad bar with dressings. I know it won't be the same necessarily, but if you find yourself desperate for that hamch flavor and that hamch feeling, then just get yourself some hamch.
Scratch the hamch itch, just once.
Exactly.
Just once in my life. Live on the hamch edge.
Yeah, I think that's it's you're living moss, and in this case it's moss hamch. Well, that does it for us. We will see you again in 7 days' time here aboard Fight Boat for episode 4, the heavyweights back in action. That is going to be it for Lucille Cramblecorn. I'm Derek Osceola, and we will see you next time on the Global Mega Fist 12.